Hello, mathematicians. Today we are going to be looking at bar graphs. So for the past couple of days we were working on picture graphs, and picture graphs have all kinds of different symbols at the bottom, and the symbols stand for different amounts. So we've been kind of practicing reading picture graphs and interpreting those picture graphs. And today we are going to look at some bar graphs. So this is our textbook, page 107. It says this picture shows the number of fish caught by 4 boys. How many fish did each boy catch? So we've got some people fishing here, kind of a cute little picture. And now down below, we have, well, actually this, we would still say this is still a picture graph. And then I think on the next page, they're going to squish these together to make it, instead of these separate symbols, they're going to combine it to be a bar. But anywho, before we turn the page, it says each box stands for 2 fish. So we can see here that Matthew, he caught 4 fish. Pablo, he caught 6 fish. Sam caught 2 fish. And then Tyrone, now this is interesting because I can see the squares here, and then this one, looks kind of like a little tiny rectangle. This one is like half of a square. And so if we know that 1 square stands for 2 fish, what do you think this half of a square stands for? Yeah, half of 2, which is 1, right? So this one would be 2, 4, 6, 8. Plus 1 would be 9. So Tyrone caught 9 fish. All right. And so here, this bar graph shows the same information. So same information that we have on this page, but what they've done is they've kind of squished them together to make each of these a bar. Alrighty. So it says this bar graph shows the same information. And you'll notice on a bar graph that usually along the side, one of the sides, they will have numbers. And then along the bottom, they have some labels. And so along the bottom, these tell us the names of the people who caught the fish. And then along the side, this tells us how many fish, the number of fish that each of them caught. And so we can see here that Matthew, he caught 4. And Pablo, he caught, and if we look over here, and then if we use our finger to stretch it across here, we can see it lines up with the number 6. So he caught 6. Sam, he caught 2. And then here's Tyrone. So we did 2, 4, 6, 8. And then we thought half of that square, that stands for 9. And if we follow our finger over to the side here, that goes right between the 8 and the 10. So that must be a 9. All right, it says who caught the greatest number of fish. And here we can see quite easily that Tyrone's bar is the tallest. So he caught the most fish. There we go. How many did he catch? And we already said, let's see, he caught 9 fish. Let's see, who caught the least number of fish? That would be Sam, because he has the shortest bar. And how many fish did he catch? Well, we know from the other page that he caught 2, but if we didn't have that other page, we can just look here. Where does the top of the bar go? Use our finger, and there's the number 2. Alrighty, how many more fish did Tyrone catch than Sam? So now we're going to compare Tyrone and Sam. So when we're comparing 2, we can kind of use our fingers to cover up, like here, they're the same. And then you can see that Tyrone's keeps going all the way up. So another thing we can do is subtract. We can see that Tyrone caught 9 fish and Sam caught 2 fish. And we know that 9 minus 2 is 7. So Tyrone caught 7 more fish. Alrighty. Whoop, camera froze up there for a minute. So Tyrone caught 7 more fish than Sam. Let's see. The next question says, how many fish did each of the other 2 boys catch? Oh, I think that means, let's see. So we were already comparing Tyrone and Sam. How many fish did each of the other two boys catch? Oh, so Pablo, he caught 6, and Matthew, he caught 4 fish. How many fish did the 4 boys catch all together? Ooh, well, let's see. We could do 9 plus 2, that gets us to 11, plus 6, that gets us to 17, plus 4, that gets us to 21. And the last question on this page, how many fewer fish did Matthew catch than Pablo? Okay, so now we're comparing Matthew and Pablo, and Matthew caught, let's see, these would be the same, and then Pablo caught 2 more, which is the same as Matthew caught 2 fewer than him. So 2 less, 2 fewer Matthew caught. All right, let's take a look at another bar graph. It says the bar graph and table below show Miguel's examination results for 4 subjects. So an examination is another word for a test. So Miguel had some tests. How did he do? So we can look at this bar graph to see how he did in English, math, science, social studies. It's kind of like history. And then along this side, we see his points or his score on the tests. So here we have a bar graph, and then here we have a table. So we looked at tables the other day with picture graphs too. And a table has information on it, usually just has kind of words and numbers. And then a graph has a pictorial representation, kind of a visual thing for us to look at. And a lot of times, if we're looking at 2 pieces of information, so here's the table and here's the graph, it's often kind of easier for us to read information or interpret information when it's in the form of a graph. Because right away, when we look at this one, we can see, oh, Miguel did really well in science. That was kind of his best subject. And he did pretty well in math and social studies. In fact, he kind of tied his score there. We can quickly look at the graphs. And then he did not quite as well in English. So we can see that very clearly. Whereas if we look at a table like this, we can still see the same information, just doesn't always stand out as much as like, oh, right away I see, oh, he did the best in science. So graphs are often, they help us because they're visual. That means that our eyes can very clearly see the picture. All right, so here are some questions for us. It says, which score on the table appears the most number of times? So if we're looking at this table here, the score that appears the most, and so the score is the number that he got, 75, 80, 90, and 80. Well, we can see that the number 80 appears twice. 75 appears once, and 90 appears once. So the number that appears the most is 80. Miguel had the same score in, and we can see right there, he had the same score in math and social studies. And we can see there from the table, or we can see here from our graph, they are the same height. All right. He scored blank more points in math than in English. So math, English, we can subtract 80 minus 75 would be 5. Or we could also, so we could look at the table here, or we could look at the graph. So here's math and English, and we could see here that they're kind of the same. Oh, and then here is where they stop, 75, and then math is up to 80. So there's 5 more points he scored in math. All right, let's take a look at, this one says he scored 10 more points in blank than in math. So 10 more points in some subject than he did in math. So let's take a look at, in math, he got 80. Yeah. In math, he scored 80. And I can see right next to it, in science, he scored 90. And I know that 90 is 10 more than that. So that must be what we're looking for here. He scored 10 more points in blank than in math. 10 more points in science than in math. Did you use the table or the graph to answer C and D? Oh, to answer these questions. So this is just a personal preference. Maybe you use the table to figure out the answers. Maybe you use the graph. Kind of depends on which one is sort of easier for you to look at. What was his highest score? His highest score was 90. I'm going to look at the table there for this one. And his lowest score was 75 in English. And did you use the table or the graph to answer F and G? Well, I used the table. So I thought, oh, I can see very clearly right there. But it kind of helped me when I was comparing how he did in different subjects to look at the graph. So sometimes it helps us to look at the graph, and sometimes it's better, or it makes more sense to us to look at the table. No right answers here, just different strategies to help us. All right, we are going to look at one more graph together. It says this bar graph shows Sally's savings for 4 months. So Sally is saving some of her money. Very prudent, Sally. So we've got May, June, July, and August. So she is saving her money for these 4 months. Now this one is kind of different because the bars go from side to side. Would you remember that word? From side to side, starts with an H. Horizontal. Yeah, so this bar graph goes horizontally. These other graphs were going up and down. Remember that word? It starts with a V. Yeah, vertical. So these are vertical. And the one on this page, these are horizontal. So here we have the labels for the names of the month on the left side, and on the bottom are the numbers. So it's kind of opposite. All right, it says use the graph to answer the questions. How much did Sally save in May? So let's see, in May, we can see that she saved, let me see, I'm going to use my finger. I can see here's May, and then I'm going to trace it down with my finger to see. There, she saved $30 in May. So you can kind of use your finger to trace it. Let's see, how much more did she save in June than in May? Okay, so now we're going to compare June to May. So what we can do is, well, we can say, well, here's May and June. They're the same here, same here, same here. And then June sticks out this much further. And then we could kind of count. We could say, well, here is 30, and then it stops at 60. So I can kind of figure out how that much is. Or I could figure out, well, I can see that in June she saved $60. And I know that in May she saved $30. So then I can subtract to find the difference. 60 minus 30 is 30. So she saved $30 more in June. Wonder what she was doing that helped her save that much money. In which month did she save $15? Oh, and I'm guessing it's the smaller one. Let me check. In July. And if I follow my finger down here, now here there's no number, but it goes right in between the 10 and the 20. And I know if there's a little mark right between the 10 and the 20, the difference between 10 and 20 is 10. So the middle way, it must be 5. So this one would be 15, because 10 plus another 5 would be 15. So she saved $15 in July. In which month did she save the most? And again, when we look at graphs, we can very quickly see that this one, she saved the most in June because the bar is the longest. Let's see. In which month did she save twice as much as in August? So in August, she saved $30. So we're looking for which month did she save twice that? In other words, times 2. And I know 30 times 2 is the same as 30 plus 30, which is 60. So she saved twice as much in June than she did in August. She also saved twice as much in June as she did in May. All right, it says, how much did she save all together during the 4 months? Ooh, all together, let's see. Well, we know she saved $60 plus $30. That's going to get us up to $90. Let's jump to this one. Plus another 30. Let's see, 90 plus 30. That would be 120 plus 15. 100. 135. Is that correct? Let's just check real quick. So let's see, we said 60 in June, 30 in May, 30 in August, 15 in July. We'll do a quick calculation here. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. We were right. 135. Nice job. It's a good amount of savings. All right, let's see. In which month did she save the same amount? Well, we can look at the bar and see the bar is the same for May and August, so that in those 2 months she saved the same amount. And how much did she save altogether in the months where she saved the same amount? How much did she save altogether in the months where she saved the same amount? So I think with that one, they're asking us, well, these 2 months, she saved the same. So altogether in these 2 months, she saved, well, here's $30 plus another 30, and that would be 60. All right. So we'll pause there with our textbook. Your homework for today is pages 156 to 158. So here we have, it says a group of children made this picture graph to show the time at which they get up in the morning. So here we have some squares again. We'll get some squares in our textbook. Each square stands for 4 children. So there's 4 and 4, so this one would be 8. Here's 4 and 4, and then there's that half again. Well, now if we have half of a square, we know half of 4, 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this one would be 4 plus 4 is 8, plus 2 is 10. So this one would be 10 children. Let's see. This is kind of an interesting question down here. It says blank children get up before 6:30 a.m. So for here, we're going to have to figure out, well, here some kids get up at 6:30 a.m. and then after 6:30 a.m. They are asking us to find this number. How many children get up before 6:30? So not that time, but 6 o'clock or 6:15. All right, on the next page, let's see. This says, this table shows the number of students in each group. Use the table to color the graph. Ooh, this should be fun. If you have some colors, you could take out some colors, or you could just use your pencil. Okay, so it looks like there are some different numbers of students in group A and group B and C and D, and we are going to color in this graph. They've done one of them for us. So they've done group D, and we can see in the table group D had 8 students in it. And so group D, they colored in the box all the way up to the 8. And if we follow with our finger, we can see this is the 8 mark. So if we wanted to maybe go to the next one to do part C, because they have a little space in between each one, part C would be 17 students. So here is part C. So we're going to color in these squares right above the letter C all the way to 17. But, as I look over here, there's not a 17. There's a 16 and an 18. Ooh, should we go right in between those two? Yes. So here is C. So we're going to color in this bar all the way up to, I think I might go to 16. And then I'll color in one more. So it would go all the way right between the 16 and the 18. So we should have a bar here. All right. For group B, let's see the table. There are 16 students in group B. So group B, we can color in the bar graph, the bar all the way up till we get to 16. So that would go all the way up to here. Alrighty. And there are a few questions to answer. And then on the last page, 158, we have a bar graph that shows the number of eggs Lindsay sold from Monday to Friday. All right, so she sold some eggs Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So this is kind of that horizontal bar graph as opposed to the vertical one. And then down here at the bottom, it shows the number of eggs. And I can see that on Monday, she sold, 500 eggs. Good work, Lindsay. On Tuesday, I can see that she sold 400 eggs. On Wednesday and Thursday, same number on Wednesday and Thursday. And Monday, 500. And the trickier one would be Friday because it's right in the middle of two numbers. You follow my finger right in between the 600 and the 700. So I think we can figure out it's going by hundreds. So if it's halfway between one of the hundreds, think about what that number would be. Alrighty, and let's see. We have a few questions. It says, what was the number of eggs that Lindsay sold on most days? So on most of the days, like this day and this day and this day, she sold a certain number of eggs. There it is, because she sold 500 on Monday, not on Tuesday, but there was 500 she sold on Wednesday, 500 she sold on Thursday. So on most of the days, on 3 days out of the 5 days, she sold 500 eggs. So they're looking for a number here. What was the number of eggs that she sold on most days? That would be 500. She sold blank more eggs on Friday than on Thursday. So now we're going to compare Friday to Thursday. So you can go ahead. Oh, I forgot to mention, I like to write the number right next to it on the graph. So if I were you, I would take my pencil and by Thursday, I would write 500, 500. What's this one? 400, 500. And then I would write this one. And we're comparing Friday to Thursday. And when you're comparing, we're trying to find the difference. So you could subtract. You could say, well, I know how much she collected on, or how many eggs she sold on Friday minus how many eggs on Thursday. So I'm not going to tell you the answer there. Try to figure that out. And let's see, the most eggs she sold on any one day was, and again, we're looking for the number, the most eggs. So it's not 500. That was not the most that she sold. It's not 400. So I'll let you figure that one out. And the last one, the least eggs she sold on any one day was blank. And then we write what was the least number that she sold. And again, when we look at a bar graph, we can quickly see, oh, well, that has to be the shortest bar. And then we can see how many eggs she sold on that day. Alrighty. That is it for today, mathematicians. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you again soon. Bye.